I'm Ace, and this is For the Rotation, the podcast where the story drives the conversation.
The womb that I would kick when she would play classical music.
As the world continues to rotate, so do our lives, dreams, and desires.
And I was like, I want that. I need to have that. I gotta have it.
These interviews are the untold stories of people with the mindset to succeed.
I'm from a cloth of like, we just do, you know.
This podcast is here to educate, motivate, inspire, and drive you to achieve your goals, dreams, and aspirations.
Stay focused.
Join me as these extraordinary people share their journey and how they did it all for the rotation. Welcome back to For the Rotation. I'm Ace. Today I have an extraordinary guest that I've been waiting to get on the show, and I know you guys are going to be extremely inspired today by his story. Please welcome to the show, Devin Hype.
Yo, what up?
Welcome, man. Thank you for doing this.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Happy that you're here, man, and I'm just so excited to learn about your journey. And I don't know anything about it, so and I tried to do some research on you, and there's not too much. So I know that this is a perfect opportunity for me to learn and for everyone else to connect with you, and I'm so excited. So let me ask you, man, and we'll just open the doors to the first question I always ask, right? Is how did you fall in love with music?
Well, I think like most people like me, music's just in your life. You know, you grow up in the household. Mm-hmm. You know, for me, music's always been around in good times, bad times. You know, music for me can bring a memory back every day, full time. And like I said, good memories and bad memories. But I really fell in love with playing music first when I was in elementary. You know, the interest in being in band, and I took choir in middle school, high school. You know, so I've always had interest in music, but when it came to DJing, it was like, oh, you have like control of music. You know, you're in charge. Right. So I really like that concept. Plus, it's just the creative power to really do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. You know, it's fun.
Nice.
I just like to have the control.
So, what are your earliest memories of like you connecting with that art?
I just think for me, growing up, I had a little radio, you know, in my room. When everyone else, I mean, I'm not that old, you know, like not like that, but all my friends had MP3 players and stuff. All I had at home was the little radio that I cruddy antenna just to get a connection and hear the radio. I just really loved listening to radio DJs, the host, the mixes, everything about it. I fell in love with that first, and I was like, I need to be in that world. That was like my first dream was to hit radio. I felt like that was the highest level of success at the time.
I can connect with that, and because you know, the radio completely inspires the idea or the concept of creating something or doing something that you hear but you can only imagine, right? And so let me ask you something. When did your hands first touch the turntable?
Ooh, well, first before a turntable, I don't come from the collecting vinyl. I was born in 95.
Okay.
So I missed out on a lot of that. Even though I have love for it and I went back and learned everything, I didn't grow up with that.
Okay.
I grew up burning CDs and using, these cheap, Quince DJ type equipment where you put a CD in and it kind of could spin, it kind of could scratch a little bit. That was my first experience with that. And like I said, having control of the music, but it wasn't, needle on a record yet. That was years later.
Okay.
So I spent a long time rocking with that CD stuff with my friend Vic. We grew up. He got it first, and I just was like, "Yo," I was stuck on it. I was like, "This is amazing. This is the coolest thing ever." And since then, just fell in love and just went down a road with it. Some crazy journey that it's become.
Let's talk about that journey. So, like, these CDs, right? And you're playing with them, right? Like, what was the next step when were you guys just playing in the bedroom, like just hanging out?
Well, we did like anyone, like some quinces and some, house party, birthday party type things, to get ourselves started.
All right.
I never owned anything. It took me years before I actually owned anything. Okay. Vic had everything.
Okay.
Vic got his first turntable was one of those Staten belt-driven turntables. So it was horrible, but for us, it was a turntable. You could put a needle on a record. We were excited about it. So that was major for us.
Wow. Okay. So like doing the Keenses, right? Now, what were your phases towards like getting to that part when you actually finally started touching a turntable? Like did you have, what were the steps that happened in your life that got you to these places? Like, starting to play records, or like
the earlier years, I would just say everything was Vic.
Okay.
Vic's here with us.
Oh, really?
everything was Vic. So anything Vic did, I just got to go and be a part of.
Got it.
Because I didn't own anything. I wasn't promoting it. I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have a computer at home to go on MySpace and be like, hey, I'm a DJ. Like, I didn't have that. So everything was following him around. And I ended up following him to a skating rink that he started DJing at.
Okay.
And then they were doing like I would say like club nights, but it was like teen club, like a teen club.
Okay.
So he was DJing for that, and then I went around that and just got inspired and worked my way into that building. And since then, that skating rink has become a home base for me. And from that skating rink, I've created the career that I have so far.
Amazing.
All from that.
Wow.
Just starting from following Vic and then finding a home throughout that process.
Now, building these skills that you have, because you actually are very, very good at what you do, and I'm just curious. Like, was there mentors in your life that you've learned from, or like, how did you build your skill set, and like, what did those days look like? Like of developing these skills.
It was never like mentors like that. It was haters. And I'm talking, I'm a teenager, getting into my young 20s, and these guys are in their 40s and just not showing any love, not answering any of the questions, dissing every mix I put out or every time I try something. And I think that just fueled this, I'm going to be better than you. And so I just worked harder, and I was just inspired. There has not been a more inspiring era for me since I was 19 years old. When I was 19, I was on fire. You couldn't get me away from the turntables 6 to 8 hours a day practicing. That was just a phase where I was just trying to prove myself to everybody. And just one at a time, I just set a goal. It's like, I'm going to be better than you, and then better than you. And just that's what happened. And that's what inspired me to start learning how to do different shit that other people could not do.
Wow.
And yeah, that led me to a certain point. And then I reached the next level of people I looked up to, and then I was like, oh, these guys are on a different level, then I had to learn all those tricks, like Turntablists guys and dudes like the Beat Junkies and everything. I learned a lot from just watching them, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get on this level, but you got to just watch and just put in the work and just try,
yeah,
and just not give up.
So I'm curious. I'm fascinated about what you just shared, because you've learned through the idea of studying people, right? And along with that, like you've had special people in your life, like Vic, right?
Yeah.
Who actually have given you the opportunity to get into the craft, right? But then, like, I'm curious. I'm not going to try to fast forward too quickly, but I would love to know, like, can you remember the day then when you actually got your first turntable?
Sure. Well, I didn't get my first turntable till I turned 21, so that's how far that took, and that's because I went and got a real job, and I was working at FedEx, and I could afford a payment on a setup, so I did. But what really happened is, rewind a little bit to that skating rink.
Yeah.
I got a job there when I was 15. I worked in the skating rink. I handed skates. I played games on the mic, DJ'd, quote unquote. And then that led me into getting into the bar on a Thursday night, where they're doing this, college night kind of deal. So I was DJing there, getting these, 8 to 9 o'clock set times when the doors don't open till 9, but Devin Hype's in the mix, 8 p.m. sharp.
Amazing.
So basically I did that, and then fast forward a little time, I stayed there as everyone else stopped playing at this bar attached to a skating rink, right? to the point where I ended up with keys to this building. So I'd be in this building every single day using this house setup that they had, just the 2 turntables. And at the time it was a DJM 3000 mixer, which is a super long Pioneer. It was horrible. And the turntables, because of the coffin that they were in, were set like the classic, old school style.
Yeah.
So when I was learning juggling and everything, I had to run to this side and run to the other side. I went through it. But I spent so many years on that, like, from 15 to 21, I was in there, and those were my turntables. Never took them home. They had to stay there, but I went there every single day. I ended up ditching school and going there every single day. Probably shouldn't have done that, nor do I recommend it. But that's what I did, because I was just so inspired and so driven to figure it out.
Right.
I did that every day.
Now that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So the determination and the drive and the will to understand how to do this craft, but also what rings a lot of notes that remind me of a lot of stories that I've had before is like you found a way, and that's huge, right? Because when you make do with what you have, right? Wouldn't you say that you made do with what you had?
100%.
And to learn the craft and to become and get better at something, right?
Yeah.
But then I can only imagine how it felt when you finally got the rig or the setup that you wanted, right?
100%.
It was like butter, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. Finally made it. It was exciting. But yeah, it was beautiful.
Hey, quick break. If you're loving For the Rotation and want to help keep it going, you can actually rep the show while you're doing it. We've got hoodies, sweatshirts, tees, mugs, hats, everything designed for creators, dreamers, or anyone chasing their goals. You can grab yours at fortherotation.com/merch. And if you use promo code FTR1, you'll get 10% off your order, just for being our audience. Details are in the description. So check it out, grab some gear, and do it for the rotation. All right, now back to our episode.
But I honestly say that not having a setup was a better time period as far as being inspired and being driven, because I was having to work with whatever I had. I was having to practice when it was available. Now, and even like, when I got my first actual turntables in my own house, it was just like, oh, they're there, so I'll just use them whenever,
Right.
I'll get to it tomorrow. And then you kind of stop. You start to lose that inspiration, as opposed to knowing you only have 3 hours on Wednesday to get some practice in. You're going to be there, right on time and get your 3 hours in.
Love that.
So I do miss those days a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still like, because now I have everything now. I have all the equipment, multiple setups, and I'm like, this is awesome. But like I just said, I'm not in there inspired to do everything every day. I'm like, oh, it's 2 hours today. Like I don't really practice that much. I look at it and I might scratch a little bit, and then I'm just like, whatever. Take a break.
You do make a lot of mixtapes. I've noticed that.
Yeah, that's like a way of living for me right now.
Okay.
It is.
But also, I would say it's also a form of practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say 100%.
Right.
It's multi beneficial, those mixtapes are.
Right.
Because I'm creating a mix, so we call that online content. I'm working because I'm selling these mixtapes to somebody.
Right.
So I'm working, and I'm putting together a new set. That I might take 15 minutes from this mixtape and do it live somewhere. Now I have these new routines and blends and mixes in my head from doing that. So like I said, very beneficial.
Amazing. So like this time, let's go back to that skating rink or that bar that you're talking about. Was this the moment where like you started just only developing your skills, or were you recording your sets, or like how, like explain to me what else that moment brought to you? Like what did it really teach you? Did it teach you anything else besides just that, you're getting better at this skill? What else?
Simultaneously with that time period, like I said earlier, radio was the goal. So I was recording sets all day, sending it to a radio station. I'm from I'm from Hemet, so I'm from the Inland Empire. The big radio station out there, especially back then, was 99.1. So it was major for me to get on that station. I did eventually make it on, but after sending 200, auditions that no one asked for, like, and learning from that, and people like, oh, that sucks, don't do that again, or oh, like, try this or do it like this, and studying everyone else's mixes and trying to learn how to do it, So I really put in a lot of work, and there's so many recordings. I actually have most of those recordings still.
Amazing.
And it's like, oh, these are ugly, but it's inspiring, because I'm like, the person I was then would have never thought I would have figured out the stuff that I know now. It's like I never thought I would have been able to figure these things out.
Wow.
Because back then I'm sitting here just beating myself up like, why can't I do it? Why can't I learn this scratch? Why can't I do this? And now I figured it out.
It's almost like I can almost consider it like a journal.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like a journal of your history or your progress throughout your life. You can actually go back and listen to it and realize who you were and who you've become. It's a beautiful thing.
That's what I use the Instagram for, because you can go back, 10 plus years and really see progression, not only in the videos, but the way I was acting, because you're talking about a 19-year-old kid to, I'm turning 30, 2 months from now. And that's just crazy. There's been a lot of progression. I've learned, been better at the music stuff, and just been better as a person, confident. Because I've done interviews when I was 18, 19, and oh my God, I'm frozen. I'm so scared. Like I can just see just young Dev just scared as hell. And because I've always, even now, like the mics scare me. Like the mics, it's intimidating. Cameras don't as much, but this is intimidating to me.
Really?
It's always been. When I first started touring, like that was like the big thing, is I did not touch a mic for a long time. And that was a big fight with my first group that I toured with.
Wow. So let's take a couple of steps forward now, man. So you've did you leave the skating? Well, you never left the skating rink because you were still a home base, right?
Home.
So what was the next thing that happened after your your whole experience, or your experience you shared about you practicing all the time, right? What was the next phase in your life, and how did you get there?
Well, all that practice and, like I said, all those radio mix submissions paid off at some point. And in between time, trying to reach my ultimate goal of the radio station I wanted, I had done so many radio stations in the Bay and in Vegas and in Arizona, and just different syndicated shows that I was fortunate to be a part of. And that kind of it was great to be a part of. I'm grateful for it, but at the time I was just not satisfied with any of it. If it wasn't that station, it just didn't feel like it was like, this isn't enough, So when I got to that station, obviously I was happy. I made it to 99.1 when I was 19 or 20. I was excited. There was a lot of ugly business with that, so it didn't last long, because once I realized the business was ugly, I spoke up, and when you speak up, they cut you. So that's what happened. And I look at it as, a blessing in disguise, because I would have been very upset with myself if I sat in and was a radio DJ for the last 10 years and just got stuck in it, because I wouldn't have made this progress and gone all these different directions in the last 10 years if I had done good in radio. So it was like I wasn't supposed to be there. I was upset about getting fired, 100%. I was very mad, because I was like, I just got here. It was like 2 months in. It was like, that was the quickest career ever. I was so upset with myself. But as soon as that door shut, another door opened. I got a friend, he's a friend now, but ODM of A Lighter Shade of Brown reached out to me, who was actually working at the station at that time. Reached out and was like, hey, I got these shows I got to do, because his partner had just passed away, the other half of Lighter Shade of Brown. This was all happening. It was weird. It was like my 21st birthday weekend. I was in Vegas celebrating. The guy from A Lighter Shade of Brown, DTX, was in Vegas and was in the hospital, had a stroke, and, there's a whole story behind that. He was in the hospital while I'm in Vegas, and then he dies over the weekend. I come back, and then I get a phone call about these shows, and if I want to be a part of them. And I'm like, yeah, what the hell? So, you know, we did one rehearsal. I already had routines, you know, because I've always been like, you know, a cappella, you know, over, you know, mashup type of DJ.
Okay.
So I had all these routines. So I showed them all these routines, like, hey, we can do this, and they loved every bit of it. So we put together this show. We did one show in Albuquerque, which was my first time traveling as a DJ, so I was excited. At the same time, this was a Lowrider magazine show, and that means there's like 5,000 cholos, you know, which for me, where I come from, at that time, especially when I was a kid, the cholos would jump me in the neighborhood.
Oh.
So all of a sudden, like, I'm over here, 5,000 of these, you know, crazy looking fools, which ended up being the nicest people. It's always these crazy looking fools that end up being the nicest, most honest people.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
But I was so scared, man. And for the first like year, I was just always scared. And then you realize that they're just showing love, you know?
Yeah.
I had to kind of get over that. You're not a kid anymore, man. That shit's done. Just, you know,
Yeah.
you're an adult now, hanging out with some crazy fools. So, I mean, that was a major transition for me, but I was grateful for that. And, you know, me losing radio led to me becoming a tour DJ.
Wow.
And then I toured with Lighter Shade of Brown from 2015 or something like that, 2016 to 2021, you know? So that was fun. But then I quit because it's just time to move on. You know, at a certain point, I was like, this group is cool. I love the songs. I love being in front of the crowds, you know, because we would do a few thousand. It was fun.
Right.
But it was repetitive. You know, we're doing Art LeBeau again, another Lowrider magazine. It's just like same artist, same thing. I loved it. I thought it was awesome, but it was repetitive. And just like I said earlier about being stuck in radio for 10 years, like I wouldn't want that. Right. I didn't want to be stuck on loop doing this tour stuff. Right. So I quit without knowing exactly what I was going to do. So I just threw my hands in the air and just, you know, erased the board and started over.
Wow.
And then, from that, I grew my hair out.
All right, let's pause there, man, because you just shared a lot. And I actually have a question for you. What do you think contributed to, let's see, like going back to that, what you just shared about the radio part, right? Mm-hmm. And what you wanted to get into, right? And like, what do you think contributed to that accomplishment? I know that you said that you ended up at other radio stations that you did not want to belong to, but your eyes were on the goal at this one, right? But can you describe to me like what contributed to that? Can you explain to me what things you did in your life, right? Mm-hmm. That I think really like studying. I studied everybody. Okay. I knew everybody's name. You know, I knew who to talk to. I studied how DJs mixed. I studied timing. Like, I had never been in a radio station, but I knew everything. I knew the website where they get their music list. I just studied. And I feel like I was just ready for it. Like, when the opportunity presented itself, I was ready to go. Okay. And I've always kind of been that way since then. That's one thing I tried to never lose. Okay. Was that whole, you know, study. Be over-prepared. You know, there's nothing wrong with knowing too much. You know, and sometimes I way overdo it. I way overstudy, you know, but I like learning, and I like to be prepared. I like to be in the best position, you know, Do you think we're able to make our own luck in life?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you think that we are able to do that? Or how have you been able to do that?
Make your own luck is you get up and you work. You know, you work for it. Right. You know, luck is real. You know, luck is being prepared and nailing the opportunity as it presents itself. Because opportunities can present themselves at any moment, in any place. It's happened to me like that. Amazing. You know, just like, but you got to look at it and be like, take it, do it. You know, and if you're like me, I'm ready for it. Right. You know, because I'm putting myself around certain people and around certain situations because I know what it's going to lead to, you know, and I'm studying to jump into this world, you know, like I'm ready for it. Right. I feel like that's major.
That's huge. That's great. That's great advice, man. And what's interesting about what you shared with me was that, like, you know, you really wanted to reach a certain point, right? And when you got there, you realize that, like, that's not something that I want for myself. Mm-hmm. So, And like you also shared something which I found is very it's very resourceful, which is that you when one door closes, another door opens, right? And like that truly is something that I believe that people can walk away with, because people, in life, a lot of things happen to all of us, and like when we run into like something that actually ends for us, we feel like that there's like we fail to see that there's something else ahead of us, right? Now, can you explain to me how like you actually pull yourself out of a situation like, or pull yourself out of a mindset like that? Like, is there something you do, or how do you do that?
I think you learn as you go, and as I've put myself in situations, especially like when it's time to move forward, it's like you just have to do it and just have to go through the fight. Like I said, I've quit things not knowing what's next, and that's a gamble,
right?
But I'm a gambling person. That's just who I am. I take a gamble and I work hard towards it. Okay. I feel like the odds are in my favor, but sometimes it doesn't work out. I've done a lot of things like that, from reaching out to artists and doing different things. Sometimes I get an answer, sometimes I don't, but I'd rather try. You just got to put yourself out there.
Love that makes a lot of sense. And like what you're sharing with me is very inspirational. And you know what after you've done what you were done with touring, right?
With that group, yeah.
With that group. Okay. So what was next? Hey friends, whether you headed to a festival, hitting a show, traveling, or just spending the whole day out and about, you know how rough it could be on your feet. Stand Plus shoes are built to change that, giving you all-day comfort that actually lasts through 12-plus hour days. They're super lightweight, about 3 times lighter than regular shoes, and have extra arch support that takes pressure off your knees, back, and feet so you can keep going without the aches. They're slip-resistant, fluid-resistant, breathable, and even machine washable, so they're ready for wherever life takes you. Once you try them, you'll wonder how you ever spent a long day without them. I've got an exclusive 15% off for you. Just head over to standshoes.com and use code FTR1 at checkout. We earn a commission when you use our code, so you're supporting the podcast too. But don't wait, this offer ends November 13th, 2025. Details are in the description, and there's also a link waiting for you there to make it easy. Now back to our episode.
What was next? Like I said, I grew my hair out.
Oh yeah, you grew your hair out. I grew my hair out. That's where we stopped. Yeah.
I was actually, I'll just say the truth. I was inspired by, rock music and trying to take on that persona and stuff.
Right.
And I followed people that were doing that. One of the people I followed was DJ Clever. I love Clever. He's one of my favorite DJs. I was studying him, studying his style. I was studying who he was working with, how they do their thing, that chemistry. I ended up loving the chemistry between him and another artist. Thought it was fucking just the coolest shit. Right. And it really was. And but then I saw that they broke up. so I love that chemistry so much that I went and took that position.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't easy. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm Devin Hype. I'm next. Put me in, coach. It wasn't like that.
Okay.
It was, I used social media. I made routines with his artist, Yelawolf, his music, and just kept doing that, kept tagging him, kept learning who produced the album, who produced the record, what label is he under, who's his manager, who's some of his friends that might help push this towards him. I did that for a year. It took a year worth of that. I've probably flipped every single record he's ever released.
Wow.
And I've probably done the same with Korn as well, but Korn never reached out. But so that led to a follow. The follow led to a message. Then I was flown out. We did an album release party. I met him and met his management, and everything was good. So then we did a show, and the chemistry was solid. So I stayed with him for a while. We did about 2.5 years, and then in between that, there was a lot of drama. There was a lot of headache. So as much as I enjoyed, being on the road and the crowd, because it was beautiful. That was from Lighter Shade of Brown. We'd see 3 to 5, maybe 10,000 on some shows. With Yelawolf, I saw 50, 60,000. I toured in New Zealand. Like I got to do a different caliber of things in comparison to my last group. So it was like the next level. So that one was harder for me to quit. But in between times, we had a lot of arguments, a lot of disagreements, weren't seeing eye to eye. The energy and everything that he puts out just didn't line up to the way I want to be and the peace I need in my life, you know? So I just left.
Oh, wow.
I just quit that one, like I said, because it was just time, you know? I enjoyed myself. It's time to move on. Since then, it's been a challenge on, like, what is the real direction I'm going in.
Okay.
You know, because I've done, you know, working on my own music, you know, really trying to portray this rock character and, you know, doing the hip hop and rock shows and whatnot. But it's hard, you know, because I really don't know what I want. I don't know if I want to go tour with an artist again, or if I want to do radio, or if I want to, you know, do my own tours and my own thing. I don't know what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
And that's just completely honest. I'm working on things, but in the past, I've been so sure, you know, I'm so sure I'm going to do this and work at this radio station. I'm so sure that I'm going to tour with this artist. You know, now I'm so unsure.
Wow.
I have so many things going on, but nothing at the same time.
That's amazing.
We're just working. We're just enjoying it again, trying to.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're being present.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. And I mean, at the same time, it's also, that's an exciting moment in your life because, I mean, now it's the next phase.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
And I think what you're sharing with me is pretty amazing because at least this honesty and authenticity of like who you are right now and where you've been, right, is a beautiful thing because I mean, and I appreciate you for sharing that because now it's kind of like what I would like to ask you is like, what are you excited about? What excites you?
You know what? And I think I spent so much time on the online world and just building that and making videos and becoming that guy because at this point in my career, I think that's what I'm most recognized for. You see me at a convention.
Yeah.
People aren't excited to see me because they see me at the club every weekend or they saw my show, you know, last month. They are excited to see me because they watch me online all day, every day, you know, because I have that many videos online and my stuff is shared by so many pages, but that's where I live. So what I'm excited about now is getting myself back out to performing in front of people and getting that live reaction, you know, and interacting with, you know, a crowd. I miss the hell out of that. I really do. That's the main part I miss. I stopped making so many videos because it became repetitive again. You know, it's something that I was just tired of doing. Like, what's the point of flipping another song? You know, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get a couple likes and some comments, a little bit of love, a little bit of hate, and then it's over. It's done. You know, I wasn't getting the high off of it. It's not enough. You know, when I was touring and you go do a show with 50,000 people, when you come off the stage, that's a high. And that high lasts a couple days.
Oh, wow.
The come down hurts. And there is a come down, and not a lot of people talk about that. But when you experience that much adrenaline and that much excitement and interacting with that many people, once you go home and you're normal and that all goes away, it hits hard.
Really?
And it might not work with everybody, but that shit breaks me down. Like, I'll be ruined. I'll be in the car, tears coming out of my eyes, thinking about people that aren't alive anymore that I wish, like, I feel like you guys should have got this opportunity. Like, my brain just scatters horribly.
Whoa.
So that's what happens with that. So I've been better because I'm not experiencing that high.
Yeah.
But when I was, my come down was always horrible. Everyone kind of learned to just leave me alone when I come back because the first 5 days are pretty nonsense. Like, I came back from New Zealand like heartbroken for some reason. I was just broken, even though I just did the most exciting shows and had a great time and, you know, came home it's just sad.
Really?
And it was just, I just think it's something with my mind because I don't think everyone feels that way. But when I get those experiences, I just think a lot. I'm a thinker, you know. I feel like the power to think is great for my creativity. Yeah. But it damns me in other places. You know, it ruins me.
It's like a give and take.
Yeah, because, you know, I overthink. I think about things I shouldn't be thinking about, you know, and that fucks up my life. And I'm a regular person who has regular problems, but I also got to be Devin Hype and do Devin Hype things with a smile on my face.
Got it.
So it's very hard to do both, especially back then when I was high, come down, and then go back up. It was every other week because I never consistently toured to where we'd be gone for months. I quit touring with Yelawolf right before that. And I'm glad I never did do that because it would have been 3 months on a bus with this guy and we probably would have killed each other. It just wouldn't have worked. But yeah, those come downs suck. Don't recommend.
don't recommend.
Don't recommend that.
That's
but it's real. It's 100% real.
That's crazy that you're sharing something like that, because I think we all have these moments where, like, we go in a dark place, right? But can I ask you something? Is like when that happens, right? Like, what helps you get out of it?
I don't know. It is accepting it. Is riding the wave, not trying to fight it.
Got it.
Accept the thoughts and just don't let the thoughts like tear you apart. Because when you're fighting against something, you're gonna feel all that. When you just let it happen and just let the emotions go, it's just let it pass.
That's great advice.
Just go through it. Yeah, I've always tried to like deny things and just like hold it in, and that led to so much destruction, just like mentally. But I feel like now I've learned to just, it's almost like laugh at my pain, but I just push through.
Dang.
Yeah, so that's fun.
That's deep, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you something, which I think is like pretty cool about what you shared earlier, and this thing that came up, which is like social media, right? And when you're talking about that, like, did you know that this was going to be a tool that you could use to get to where you wanted to be, and you put your energy towards it, or is that something that it just kind of fell in your lap? Both, because I knew that it was going to be that, and when I was posting videos, in 2014 and whatnot, I knew I was going to create this backlog of my history, because I knew I was going to get better. So I knew people were going to be able to scroll down and be like, be inspired by the fact that, yes, I sucked 8 years ago. I suck less now. Like, I'm better now. It's like, that's, it's real. It's because if you really put in work and practice and stay consistent, you can suck less at something if you just work hard at it, Yeah. Like, I would never consider myself great at anything, but I definitely suck a lot less than I did 10 years ago. Okay.
I've learned. And I've even kind of proven myself, to things, because I used to be discouraged that my sets wouldn't engage well with the crowd.
Okay.
I still perform the same sets from 10 years ago today. And, if I do them now, people are excited as hell. People are like, oh, this is amazing. It's the same exact track to track to track set for 10 years. It wasn't me. It was just, I wasn't interesting. Nobody cared to watch and see what I was doing. Now I figured out a way to get people to be intrigued by what I'm doing. And now I can bring back this shit. And it was always good. It was always good. It was always a good mix.
Wow.
So I do that a lot just to prove to myself that I never really sucked. I sucked in other avenues. I felt like I didn't have character, for one thing. Okay. Character, I feel like, is a major thing for someone like me, and especially in the world I live in, now, having that character is everything. Something people can look at and be like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's cool looking. That's what I get every day, compliments on the hat. No one knows what I do or, anything about me. But when they see me, they're like, that guy's somebody. So I kind of like that I figured out a way to do that, because I was never that person.
Right.
Very, very unpopular kid. Very, poor, like $2 t-shirts every day. Like, yeah, the look was never there, and then I just grew up, and it took me a long time. It took me probably 2022. I think I learned something clicked in 2022.
Okay.
Which was like a confidence click. Like it doesn't matter. Like, dude, if you feel it, then you feel it. And ever since then, I just feel it. I just wake up and I'm like, you know what? I'm cool. One day I was just like, I'm tired of not being cool. Today I'm cool. And then I've been cool ever since.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Actually, my next question would be: do you think you probably were doing it? You're doing it now with more confidence,
100%.
right?
Oh God, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I had no confidence before. I would just do everything scared and like, and like when I made a little mistake, it was like, oh, like I was so mad because I practiced that so long. You know, now if I make a mistake, I just look at everybody. I'm like, what are you gonna do about it? You know, like, yeah, you can't do this. Shut up. You know, so it's just like back then I was nervous. I was trying to prove myself though. So it was a time period of proving myself. And, you know, if Mellow D walked by now, I wanted him to see me scratch or something like that. Or
right.
Hubert, you know, it's like, it took me a long time to get those people to even know my name, you know, and now at this point, you know, I can high five them and we know each other. And that's, you know, looking back on, that's a crazy difference from when I was younger.
Right.
You know, trying to even like watch these guys' videos from back in the day, and now I'm just high fiving them. You know, I was at Icy Ice's house earlier. You know, just we were doing a Twitch stream, and I took over the turntables and I hogged them for 3 hours. You know, I had fun with that. But like, I can just to say Icy Ice, I can look back, 19-year-old me going to a club. You know, it was like a day party. And I went there to meet Icy Ice because this guy's a beat junkie. I get to meet a beat junkie, right? So I was so excited. I waited there for fucking 4 hours. He was like the headliner guy, so he didn't show up till 10 minutes before his set. You know, so I just gave up. You know, I'm 19. I can't drink. I'm just at this club with X's on my hands. So I leave. I go down and I see him in the parking lot. Oh, you know, and I'm not a confident person, shy kid. But I had to go up and shake his hand and just be like, oh, I came here to meet you. I just wanted to introduce myself. And just to remember how scared and nervous and how exciting it was to meet that person. Yeah. And then today I'm just in his house taking shots of whatever we were taking shots of at 10 in the morning, you know, just having a good time, you know, and just having good conversation. It's like that's progression.
Yes, it is.
You know, that's what that hard work led to. That's what persistence led to. That's what not giving up. It all leads to that. You know, does that make me $1 million? No. But the goal was never to make $1 million. The goal was to be an active person in this industry, to exist, for my name to mean something, for people to be like, oh, I know who that is. You know, I don't have to be anybody's favorite. Right. But I don't think anyone can deny that I'm an active character in the DJ world. Mm-hmm. You know, people know who I am. So I'm grateful for that. But they know who I am because I sacrificed my whole life and posted 10,000 videos on Instagram. That's why they know who I am. You know, I just gave them, you know, a really raw, uncut version of myself for a lot of years.
So I'm curious to learn, man, and I hope you can share this with me, is that, you know, the story of like you going for it, right? And just not looking back and just keeping your head down and just constantly pushing towards something that you want to achieve. And this is with multiple stories you have just shared with me, right? Yeah. To me, that the word that pops into my mind is resilience, right? It's very, very resilient of you. And I want to ask you, like, what does resilience mean to you and how do you channel that? Hey, it's Ace from For the Rotation. If you're ready to start your podcast journey, my ebook series, Anyone Can Podcast, is here to guide you every step of the way. I've packed it with everything I've learned from launching my own show, along with passed down wisdom from fellow podcasters and proven strategies taught at top university curriculums. Start with the Ideation Starter Kit to find your concept and purpose. Then grab the Equipment and Editing Guide to record like a pro. Learn how to grow and monetize with the Growth and Development Guide, or get everything in the Podcast Launch Blueprint. There's even a free checklist to get you going. I also offer one-on-one coaching to help you launch faster. And yes, full courses are coming soon. Just for our audience, get 15% off with code FTR1. Details are in the description. Now back to our episode.
Define resilience. Define that for me.
For me, I feel like your story is very resilient.
Okay.
Right. I mean, I would love to know what you feel like resilience is to you, and like, because the things that you shared, like, these are things that really take a lot of resilience,
Yeah.
right? Right. And
What does resilience? And I'm 100% on this. I have no idea. I know the word.
Okay, this is
But I
great.
don't want to answer the question and not know. This is the learning opportunity for me.
Okay, so
I'm
resilience.
excited.
Resilience is like. Okay, I'm not gonna give you a dictionary version of it, but I'll just share what I believe resilience is. Resilience is not giving up. Resilience is continuing to push forward. Resilience is a way to like push through things when you have obstacles in front of you, right? Like for me, from your story to me, I feel like what you shared with me is very resilient, and I'm curious to know, it's like, where do you channel that from? Like, where does that come from when you actually are just the fire's beneath you and you're just not going to stop? What are you thinking about at that time?
It all comes from not having things. Like I said, not having support from people, not being the cool kid, not being the cool DJ. It was just like, just determined to move on from that shit.
Right.
Those narratives of like, you're not cool and you're this lame little, skinny kid.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to get past that.
Yeah.
I'm not in middle school no more. I'm fucking 30 years old. Like, it's time to move on. So it took a long time for me to move past that and really just decide that I can just do whatever I want, and I can push through all these phases and all these humps.
Yeah.
But that was not easy.
Right.
That took a lot of years.
That's
And
it.
even now I question myself. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what I'm doing. And that's honest. And I want people to know that, like, I've done so many different things that I don't know what the next move is. Do I backtrack and, revisit one of the things I used to do or I used to be inspired by? Or do I invent the next thing? Or, what do I do? Because I don't want to get stuck on loop. And whenever I feel like I'm in a loop is when, my mind tells me it's time to move on.
Right.
Like I said, like from working with artists and radio and even just Instagram routine videos.
Okay.
At a certain point, it is time to move on.
Right.
And that's where we're at now.
It's amazing.
just-
So like, I guess, there's a lot of things that people like artists and DJs transition into, right? So I'm curious to know, like, is like production in your future?
Yes. Very, very much so. I've never been passionate about it because it's so new to me.
Okay.
But I just want to do it my way. So I'm just kind of enjoying that learning process and working with people that have their own styles and their own understanding and kind of like, hey, here's my ideas, let's put it together and see what we come up with.
Cool.
So I'm learning all that right now, and there's a couple beats that I have that I've sent out that have been straight up denied. Like, hey, this is, I think it's great, but this is trash.
Oh.
I don't give up on it. I think that someone will be able to make it happen, but it's like starting over because as a DJ, I put out a routine,
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get the majority to be like, we love this,
Yeah.
as opposed to the people being negative towards it. Right now, as someone trying to make beats and music and whatnot, I'm so new to the game that when I put something out, I'm going to get more negative. Like, hey, you didn't do this right, or hey, you don't understand this. It's a learning curve.
Okay.
I have one record that is almost finished, with a guy I got out in Vegas named Hydro. It's called Follow Me. It samples, I don't know if you know that house record from like the 90s by Alias, Follow Me. It's a great song.
Oh yeah. Follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it samples that, but it's more hip hop. Great record. I think it's amazing.
Awesome.
So eventually we'll get that released and then we'll let the world dictate whether that sucks or not. Like let it speak for itself. Let the
Right.
people, take it in and see how they feel. But I think it's a great record.
Right.
I'm proud of that body of work. I think that that's going somewhere. But like I said, it's all new to me. It's just a learning process, and I don't even know how to put a song out. Like, I don't know how to put a song on Spotify. I mean, for me, I'd post it on Instagram. That's all I could do. So now it's like learning that,
Yeah.
and I was signed. I was actually signed to Yelawolf, to his label, Slamerican. And it's been so many years, and we haven't talked. So I really don't know if there's anything like in the business side of if I put this out, is he going to be like, hey, that's mine? So I'm curious to see what happens when I do that. you know, and I'm not worried. He's not watching this podcast.
Well, let's hope he does or doesn't. I don't. But at the same, like, let me ask you something, which I feel like this is something that I'm curious about. Is does the being turned down or turned away, or even being said no, is that something that motivates you?
Half and half. Certain times, if it's something something I created that I feel super confident in, and then that gets turned down, then yeah.
Okay.
You know, and oftentimes it's the stuff that I work hard on that ends up not being the hits. It's more of the stuff that I just last minute throw together that ends up being the bigger video.
Okay.
You know, the stuff on the fly, when I try to like overproduce things and, you know, try to put skits in it does not go well. Mm-hmm. You know, so I've kind of learned people just want to see what they want to see and that's it, you know. But I don't want to just live on Instagram just catering to a crowd of people, you know, every day and just giving them a video. Yeah. It's just, like I said, repetitive.
Right. So is there something that happened in your career, would you say, like, which is like one of the biggest obstacles that you've ever experienced that actually that contribute to your transformation from have you experienced, my real question would be, like, have you gone through something that you can remember that has allowed you to become the person you are today?
Yeah. I think working with Yelawolf was like the major thing.
Okay.
That was a big transitional period. It was a bigger artist, and you know, just he was very big on the look. You got to have the look. You got to have the hat.
Okay.
You know, dude dressed me like a weirdo. I was wearing like a fox hat he bought me in South Dakota, and I had to wear that every day. And I was just like, this is stupid. Like, it felt more like Batman and Robin, and I just was not trying to be anyone's Robin. You know, and I think that working in that environment really helped me understand myself and really motivated me to be like, I need to be the Batman, not the Robin. You know, I need to be the front man, not somebody's little background character.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's what I want, you know?
Yeah.
And you can want that all you want, but now you got to find a reason to be up as the front man character. Like, what are you bringing to the table that allows you to have all this? You know, because that's one thing I really got excited with touring and playing in front of 50, 80,000 people. You know, it's awesome. It's crazy. But after a while, I came to the realization that this is not my crowd. You know, these are not my fans. They're his fans. They're just enjoying my shit with him, you know?
Okay.
So that inspired me. It's like, I need my own fans. I need my own diehards. You know, I need my people. Yeah. And you don't just get that just because you want it. You gotta give them something. You gotta put something out, you know, that they'll love and they'll feel, hey, we need to rock with this guy. Yeah. And yeah, that's a challenge.
I can see that you're definitely doing that. I mean, you're very consistent with the content you put out. You know, before we even met, and now that we know each other, I still feel like when you're being very transparent on your Instagram, it makes me feel like I can connect with you, right, as a person, and it's like a real person, you know, in front of me, that look where I can actually follow his career. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the transparency that you put out there, and along with that, it's very consistent, right? So it allows me as a fan of yours, right, to feel like you know, that I almost like I know you, like, in a certain way, right? Yeah. And that's amazing, and I think you're doing that, man.
Yeah, I try to put out a certain level that allows people to see the human side of me. Yeah. But at the same time, I try to separate Devin Hype from, you know, Devin at home. You know, I don't post my family. I don't, you know, because I got 4 kids. I got a house and a life, you know. Yeah. I don't post none of that because, I mean, I got 115,000 people following me. I don't trust these people. You know, there's got to be some people that shouldn't be on there. So I leave everything to just Devin Hype. Yeah. All this social media stuff is for Devin Hype, and then Devin at home is dad. You know?
That's cool.
So yeah, most days I'm dad. Yeah. That's another thing, is like with having kids, I do find myself less motivated sometimes to be creative, you know, or to like make a video or to make a mix. It's just like, I'd rather not, you know.
Yeah.
But I do have to find a reason and a way to stay inspired. And like we talked earlier, those mixtapes are, you know, playing a major role in that, keeping me inspired and keeping me like, oh, someone paid me for this. I gotta go. It's work.
Okay.
You gotta go create this mix. And then, you know, I might not want to in the beginning, but after 5 minutes of working on it, all of a sudden I'm excited. I'm intrigued. I start going through songs. I'm having fun with it. You know, and it takes that.
Okay.
It takes that.
Have there been moments for you, or let me ask you in another way: is it important to you to give back to your craft in some way?
I think it's important to stay true to my original goals as a DJ.
Okay.
You know, and like I said, it was never rich, famous, none of that crap. It was, you know, I feel like underneath all this, I'm just a hip hop kid in a hoodie, and I just want to hang with the cool people. You know, like I said, I love the beat junkies and all these DJs that really DJ, and that's what's important to me, is staying true to that, staying true to the real DJ, giving respect where it's due, and just putting out that real hip hop DJing into the world. Okay. Not just sitting here pushing buttons, you know, because sometimes I do that. I come and flip a record and I move on. Yeah. You know, and some people are like, oh, that's all you do now. And I'm like, dude, like, I've been scratching for years. I can throw my shit under the leg. I can do a fucking backflip while I do this. You know, like, like, it's just, sometimes you gotta have fun. But I always try to keep it, you know, stay true to myself, you know, and stay true to my original goal. And that was just being an active member of the community. Yeah. You know, being a recognized member and people liking me for the skill, not anything else. You know, I wanted people to be like, oh, that guy's got skill. Yeah. That was the first important part to me. And then after that, it was like, okay, I got to have a look. You know, I need a character. Like, this isn't, you know, I don't look cool on a flyer. Like, I was like, hoodie and a dingy T-shirt is just not doing it anymore. Yeah. So when I started, like, kind of changing myself, I went through some phases, you know, learning it. I had like a cruddy hat, and then I got a good hat, and then I got a couple good hats. Yeah. I was wearing like pants that were way too tight with holes in them. I wasn't feeling that, you know, but I learned all this, and then learned a style that I felt could stand out and fit with me, and made a character out of it. Nice. You know, so now Devin Hype's not just a kid in a hoodie that, you know, everyone ignores in the room. Now when I walk in, everyone, you know, looks. So I feel like that's important, because now it's like I can draw people's attention to me, and then I can show them what I got. Gotcha. You know, like, hey, look at me, like, you know, and then, oh, look me up, see what I do, or watch me chop it up.
This person's forever evolving, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's important.
Right.
A lot of people get stuck, and you can't get stuck. You can't be afraid to evolve. Yeah. You know, because I mean, I definitely wasn't a fan of it. I always made fun of people that spent more time picking out their outfit and, you know, doing their eyebrows for their gig. Like, I always made fun of people like that. Yeah. Because I'm like, dude, like, be a DJ. Do DJ things. Like, why are you worried about what scarf you're going to wear to your headlining set? Like, dude, fuck your scarf. Yeah. You know, like, but at a certain point, like, I had understood the DJing part very well. You know, I had the sets built and everything. I was like, I need to look cool. You know, because I got this part. All these dudes suck at DJing, but they look cooler than me. So, and I'm good at DJing, but I don't look cool, you know. So now I got both. I think I look cool, and I still think I'm pretty damn good DJ. Yeah. When I get the opportunity to be a DJ, you know, because a lot of the times people look at me as the guy that's flipping shit on social media. Right. You know, and I think people forget that I am a DJ who actually DJs and plays music and entertains people. Like, you know, there was a time where that's what I did, and I think people forgot. I think now, because of how much time I spent doing those routines and shit, that's what people have in their head, that's all I know how to do. You know? Yeah. I could be Kid Capri, man. I could do cool shit.
Well, you know, I agree, and I think you're forever evolving, and I think it's a very powerful thing for you to be able to say that you don't know where you're headed or what direction you're going in, but at the same time, you can also look at it as an opportunity to continue to evolve, or that you're in a position right now to evolve, right? So let me ask you right now, like, this is actually one of my last questions, and this is really, really powerful, right? Granted that you've actually like you're in a place right now where your journey's still going. And I'm not saying that it ever ends, right? But if you were to look back at that person like that you were, right? Mm-hmm. What's the best advice you can give to that person, to the younger version of you?
I think the same thing we said at NAM, just don't give up, And I already knew that when I was younger, but if I was giving it to another person, going through those phases, and even, when I was younger, I did need those reminders. I just didn't get them. It's just don't give up. Just make it through the phases, just push through, it's a process, man. And a lot of the times shit sucks, You might have a year that doesn't look like it's going anywhere, but if you quit that day, you don't know that the next day was going to be your day, so you just got to keep pushing. It's just, it's hard, but people will figure it out.
Yeah.
One day, or they won't. And if they don't, that's fine. I think we have too many DJs, to be honest with you. So if a little less people didn't do this, I'd be happy. Oh. I'd be happy. I respect a lot of it. I just feel like there's too many. And this is why I say I don't have an issue with the DJs. I have an issue with the people that don't respect where it comes from. That I'm a DJ, but you don't know who the Beat Junkies are. Right. And you live in LA. Right. You're not a DJ. Right. How do you not know who these people are? Yeah. You're a DJ, but you never heard of Craze. You don't know what the DMCs are. Right. It's like, I feel like all that's important. Right. To know your history. Go back to what you were sharing, is studying, right? Studying. And learning. And most people don't. And not give up. What beautiful advice, man. I really appreciate you, Devin Hype. And thank you for being here, man. Yes. It's such an honor, and I'm so excited. I feel honored to learn about your story. And this is like almost a to be continued to me, right? Of course. And I look forward to like hearing where you are going next and where you end up. And I'm sure you're going to do some amazing things, man. I hope so. I feel like, the journey's just begun. We're on the next phase. All right. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate it. Until next time, this is Ace for the Rotation. Thank you to Devin Hype, man. Sure. Amazing. Peace. Thank you for tuning into For the Rotation. If this episode inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Want to support the podcast? Head over to fortherotation.com/merch and grab some exclusive gear. Use promo code FTR1 to get 10% off your order just for our audience. Details are in the description. For more content and future drops, follow us across all platforms at For the Rotation. Keep elevating, keep evolving, and no matter where you are on your journey, do it for the rotation.